Hey, what's going on with y'all good people? I want to welcome you to the Melanated Travelers Podcast, the podcast that shatters stereotypes that takes you on a captivating journey through the eyes of people of color as they explore the world. Join us as we challenge the misconception that travel is only for a certain demographic. Embark on a vibrant adventure with each episode as we share stories that showcase the rich experiences and perspectives of melanated travelers. From the banks of Cartagena to the mountains of Bali, the Melanated Traveler paints the picture of a vivid image of the global journey, one story at a time. Hosted by yours truly, Aston R. Williams, a podcast for the people. Welcome. Hey, what's going on, y'all? This is Aston Williams. I'm coming to you again with another amazing episode of the Melanated Travelers Podcast. And this is one that's really special to me. So we're in season number 2. This is actually season number 2. And if before we get started, if you haven't had a chance to listen to season 1, we had some amazing guests, amazing destinations. We talked about so many things. Thailand. We talked about being detained in France. Talked about so many countries in South America and Central. So I couldn't pick a better person to get season 2 started off. And this is a guy that you actually hear me talk about 90% of the time in my episodes, y'all, when I talk about meeting like real good friends and individuals that turned into best friends as I was traveling solo, right? So the guest that I want to bring up is Jordan Harrison, man. Jordan Harrison, my guy.
Yes,
So
sir.
so just let me give you some background on Jordan, man. So first and foremost, he's a professional, inspirational speaker. You know, he travels all over the country speaking to the youth, speaking to people in boardrooms, prisons, just anywhere, all over the country, man. Inspiring people. He's traveled to over 40 states here in America, and as far as international travel, 25 countries and counting. You know, I gotta bring this up. San Diego State undergrad, and then you're about the only person I know that actually went to Harvard. So he's actually a Harvard grad as well. So, you know, the guy got a good head on his shoulders, man. Very intelligent, great dude. Looking forward to this conversation. But lastly, he actually got a network started that he's building. So jet setting brother. His basically his angle is to show y'all, you know, what you can do in 48 hours in other countries around the world. So he travels to countries primarily on the weekend and does quick 48-hour turnarounds. But even though it's 48-hour turnaround, you still can have a good time, brother. So again,
Right.
I gotta end it with his motto. His motto is your conditions are not your conclusions.
Yes, sir.
So see the world. See the world. Share your cultures. Share that human nature, that humility that we have for one another. And he has a passion for the diaspora. He has a passion for inspiring the diaspora. He has a passion for connecting with people of like-minded individuals, especially people of color around the world. So man, I just want to appreciate you. Welcome you to the episode.
Man, thank you, Ashton. That intro, I was like, I gotta rock with you everywhere, man. I appreciate you and I already know, man. It's similar energy going both ways. Not nothing but respect, admiration for all the work that you're doing and really getting out there, changing the narrative around folks of color traveling, particularly
Yeah,
black folks
man.
getting out there and seeing the world. Like we got a world to see.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it, man. We can start off like this. So the cat is out the bag. We can
Yeah,
go on and start off with kind of our story of how we met because again, people know of you because I
yeah,
mention you. Literally, I mention you almost every episode. So we can
yeah.
start off. We can start off with that. I'll let you share your version. I'll let you share
Yeah,
your version
I
of
want
how we
to I
met.
want to hear your version.
All right, all right, all
Yeah, I
right.
want to hear your
So
version, Ashton.
all right, so I'll start. So this past August in 2022 was my first time in Colombia. I traveled to Cartagena. Initially, I traveled to Cartagena, and I was in Colombia for 11 and a half days. And while I was there, I decided, I said, you know what? I seen I seen Medellin. I was like, you know what? Since I'm here for so long, let me go ahead on and just see what Medellin is about. So I flew to Medellin. Honestly, I didn't know anything about Guatape initially when I went to Medellin, but I do have some colleagues of mine that live in Colombia that have tour companies. He told me that I should look into going to Guadalupe. I said, all right, cool, no problem. So when I flew into Medellin, That night, my first night I was there, honestly, I didn't do anything. I went back to the hotel, fell asleep. And the next day, man, got on the bus. Uh, let me just say this: it's amazing to see people that look like you
Mm-hmm.
in other countries, because it's just like, and we'll go into the statistics later, but it's just like it was just so I was just we didn't even say anything to each other initially, right?
Yep. Yep.
But just the fact that I looked at you, you looked at me, and it was like,
We in there. Yep.
yeah, bro, yeah. So as we travel, first and foremost, we had a dope host, man. So shout out to Sandy.
Yep.
Sandy, I know I missed you the last time I was in Colombia, brother. I promise I'm gonna eventually get back to Medellin, but he's a dope host. He actually taught himself how to talk listening to Tupac and Biggie, and he talks
Yep.
just like him, y'all. Literally, at first I thought it was an act, but he really does act
Oh, yeah.
like that in person. He really does talk like that. But as we get to Guadalupe, uh, man. We actually we spent some time in the town first before we ascended to Guadalupe. I don't know if you remember that. So
Yep.
we spent just a little bit of time before we went to Guadalupe, and I was walking around, and you know, I'm like the biggest extroverted person you'll ever meet in your life. So I was kind of transitioning into that extroverted atmosphere and being open, because as a solo traveler, I think it's important that you open up to people. So,
Mm-hmm.
man, some kind of way I slid into the circle that y'all was talking with, and I was like, man, hey, what's going on, man? I'm Ashton. Nice to meet you. He was like, where you from? I was like, man, New Orleans. He was like, I'm from Cali, and I don't know how we got on this topic, but you were like yeah, man, kind of going through a few things right now, going through a divorce and this, that, and the third. And I was like, congratulations.
Yeah.
And it was at that moment, it was
Yep.
at that moment
Yep.
that we were late forever, because
Yeah.
the look on your face when I said that,
Yeah.
you were
Yeah.
like, you were like, all right, yeah, man, yeah, man.
Yes.
So
Yep.
yeah, so ever since then, man, we've been solid. We had an amazing night. That same night, we went to Parque Yeres, right? We went to Parque
Yep.
Yeres.
Yep.
I can't remember the club, man. I can't
Yeah.
remember the club.
Me either.
Uh, but we had an amazing time, man. Everybody was buying bottles. We had a section to ourselves. Shout out to Lex too, man. Shout out to the bro. Shout out
Yeah.
to Trinidad and Tobago. Man, we had a great time. We met some other people down there, and it was just a vibe, man. All brothers, man, just vibing from different parts of the world. And we had an amazing time, and we stayed locked in. So
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
lot of people don't know this. So you'll be seeing Jordan pretty soon in one of my walkthrough videos. In Cartagena, I started to finally get that content out there, so you'll see a snippet of him as we walked through the Central. But I convinced him to go to Cartagena. While I was in Medellin, all I was talking about was Cartagena.
Yeah.
That's all I was talking about. Now
Yep.
I'll be honest with you. I wish I would have gave Medellin more time. I'm gonna be
I
honest.
agree.
I should have gave Medellin more time. But yeah, man, that's how we met. That's my version. That's my
Yeah,
version of how we
yeah,
met.
nothing to add. Well, there's two things I think I'll add, and I think it's just the dynamics of travel that make it so beautiful, right? When we first met, as you said, our group kind of grew even on the trip to Guadalupe or Guadalupe. I can't remember how to pronounce it, but I remember we were just sitting on a boat because we had a boat tour, and the group was just like us two. Then it became like six of us just all talking, and it was just beautiful. It was like humans doing life from all around the world, talking about experiences, travels, and then we ended the night at the club. I remember that night I took
Yeah.
like 2 bottles home because we were out there. I just was like, what is going on? But it was just like, but it's something that I love when I travel, because I think similar to you, I do a lot of solo travel. That when
Mm-hmm.
you meet other folks that are solo travelers or people, it's just a different energy. It's just everyone's just we're out there trying to see, trying to understand, trying to connect, and it's just a beautiful thing. You can connect with people in a different space, in a different culture, and you just like do life together. And then a few folks like
Right.
yourself, you just stay locked in with, and we've been locked in since.
Yeah, we've been locked in. Now we not gonna bring up the fact that I broke those people's chair on that boat, bro.
That's right. You did. I forgot about that one. I forgot about
Oh man, we broke, man. Actually, what's funny is, uh, you're the person that actually inspired me to pursue classes, like pursue bachata classes.
Oh
Like
yeah,
once I seen you do your thing in Cartagena, we was at this restaurant, yo. I can't remember the name, but we was in Boca Grande, and my guy is fluent in Spanish. He speaks Spanish, and
yeah,
at that point in time, I've gotten a lot better now
yeah.
because I take courses, but back then my Spanish was very little. So he was speaking to this young lady, and asked her to dance, and he doing his thing, man. You could tell she was enjoying it. I was like, you know what? I'm about to learn this. I'm about to learn this. So
Yeah,
I've been taking classes ever since, man. Bachata and salsa, man. So,
but to the point though, outside of like speaking another language, whether it's Spanish, French, whatever. I mean, I'm from being in San Diego. I feel like half our street names are in Spanish, so it's a good language to learn. But dancing,
mhm.
salsa, bachata, cumbia, like Afro beats, what soca, whatever, like it's like another language in itself. And I think if you travel and if you could travel and find a dance you're passionate about, there's always a way you can have a connection, even if you can't speak the language. So
That's
oftentimes,
facts.
like when I travel, I'll look particularly for where's the salsa spot, where's the bachata spot, and I'll go there and be able to meet locals, talk to people, and even if I'm good in Spanish, but even if I didn't speak Spanish, it's a way you can go somewhere and immediately be connected to the culture, to how they dance, how they connect, and it's just a beautiful experience.
Yeah. You know what? You listen, man. I already told you this, but you need sometime within the next year or two, man. You need to go down to Cali. You're gonna love it.
Heard, yeah,
So
yeah,
on Tuesdays, they actually got something called uh Gringo Tuesdays. I know the name. I know the name normally is, you know,
yeah,
positive and negative depending on the person that's saying it to you, right? But it's a
yeah.
way for you to do a language. It's a language exchange. You got people from all over the world. People learning Spanish, people learning English, people learning French. But anyway, long story short, the bottom floor. It's a two-story club. It's called Story, and the bottom part of the club is strictly salsa bachata. Upstairs is everything. American music, salsa bachata is like a
Right.
mixture. Bro, you would love it.
Oh,
It's a great networking opportunity. You would love it. And you brought up a key point that I want everybody to take home. And we brought this up in like episode one. Episode one was focused on solo travel, but we can't stress that point enough. Like when you travel solo, you're not necessarily by yourself. Like if you're able to just open up and immerse yourself in the culture, don't be afraid to talk to people, and have dialogue and intellect. I want to put this into perspective. If I would have kept my mouth closed, we wouldn't have never turned into the friends that we end up being, till
absolutely.
this day. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a matter of getting out of your comfort zone. And the worst thing people could say is, man, I appreciate it, but I'm really not. Okay, no problem. But I've never experienced that because when people travel, people that do travel automatically have an open mind.
Exactly.
They
Exactly.
automatically have an open mind. Automatically.
Yeah, I was gonna agree to that point where it's like if I feel like if you're traveling, if you're regular in the states or wherever doing your 9 to 5, people aren't trying to talk to you. I got to go to work, take care,
Hmm.
of go to
Hmm.
school, what have you. But when you're traveling, people are either collecting stories or making a story or have a story. And I think people are more willing to share where I've been, where I'm going, why I'm here. Oh, you're from the states. What's it like? Like people are just interested in that global perspective, and there's such a different level of just receptiveness when you're traveling. And so not talking to people is to your own disadvantage. And I'll also name, we can be honest in this, as Black men, I think there's a certain privilege that we can carry when we travel in terms of like our own bodily safety. That
Yeah.
might be easier for us to walk around with, where others might have some other precautions or things that. So I'm also mindful that, everyone might not have the same level of comfortability being able to go up and talk to whatever. But I think as Black men, sometimes like it's more easier or comfortable. Like I'm not as worried about meeting or doing whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely, man. So let's talk about your why, because man, you done been to 25 countries and counting, bro. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
so like your first. Let's talk about your like your first trip. Your first trip was in Italy, correct?
yes,
Your
sir.
first
Yes,
international trip. Yeah.
yeah.
What made you decide to I guess venture off to Europe, which if you listen to some of the episodes you have some people, it's a hit or miss, right? So
Mhm.
shout out to Perry's life. She actually lives in Italy, so she shared a different perspective. But what did that trip do for you internally to say, you know what, this is the type of lifestyle that I want. This is how I want to, you know, experience my life moving forward. You know, so how did that trip like really like just kind of, you know, change you internally to say, you know what, this is it. This is I have to have this.
Yeah, I mean, it just blew my mind. It was just some friends in college who were like, "Oh, there's this trip. You can take an entrepreneurship class in Rome, Italy," and had four other friends. We went for about a month and a half, and it was a great time. And I remember when I was terrified first. I think oftentimes when people travel too, it's like mad expensive. How do I get a passport? Do I need a visa? Like all these reasons that can become reasons to stop you, make it seem like, oh, it's something other people do or we don't do that or yada yada, you know? And when I did my first trip, I think I was first blown away by this. I remember I was in a class and I looked at a world map, and the map looked weird. And I thought it was weird because America wasn't in the center. And I was like, this isn't how the world looks. And I remember in that moment, it like made me realize how much America centers America in the world, and like
Yeah,
America's the center of the globe, where it's just like actually it's a part of the globe, but it's not like the center of the entire universe, right? And I
right,
remember
right.
going there and just being blown away by how little I knew about this beautiful globe that we sit on and how much I thought, you know, America was really the center. When I saw Italy kind of being more center in the map, it just blew my mind. And then just simple things, man. I love learning. And I think I'm fascinated when things that you take for granted become challenged when you go international. What I mean by that is I go to the supermarket store, right? I'm in Italy. I don't speak a lick of Italian. I don't have a clue what's salt, what's sugar, what's pepper. I'm looking and just praying, like, I hope I picked the right thing for this pizza because I don't know what's going to happen. But I'm fascinated by that. Like, I
Yeah,
love being uncomfortable. I love challenging. And more importantly, I love being reminded that there are other ways that you can live that are counter to what America might say is the way to live. Like, I just went, I think 2 weeks ago to Copenhagen, to Denmark, Copenhagen, and they have this word. I'm not going to say it right, so please forgive me. But it's spelled Hyggee. I think it's called Hygie or Hygie. I can't say it
mm,
right, but the concept is like making space and time for moments that matter, having warmth with people that you love. And it's a central tenet of their culture. And I think I just appreciated the more that I've traveled, the more I've seen how you can live. A lot of folks in Europe after college or before college will take a year off and just go travel. Whereas America, we're just like work, 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 work. And like you love life on the weekend or after your 9 to 5. And I think there's another ways that we can integrate and live life. And so that just blew my mind. And then since then, I told myself I need to go abroad at least once a year. I exceeded that more than ever, besides
yeah.
COVID. Yep. But yeah, blew my mind.
Man, this probably the most traveled year I've ever had. Now, so let me add some context. The biggest decision that I made for my 33rd birthday was to I'm sorry, 32nd birthday was to get myself a passport. I think that, and we can talk about the construct of America, right? You brought that up, and we
Yeah.
can lead to that next point.
Uh-uh.
The construct of America paints the picture of fear into us. The news, the articles,
Yeah.
um, everything is painted in fear. And you know what, brother? Honestly, I allowed that fear to enter me. I
Yeah.
just started traveling internationally last year, bro.
Wow.
Last year. I just started traveling international last year. So when you met me, that was my second international trip. That was my second country.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it.
And I've been this year I've traveled to uh if you count going to Colombia twice, right? I've traveled to this year I've traveled to Peru, I've traveled to Costa Rica, and I traveled to Colombia twice, which I truly enjoyed. Went to Cartagena, went to Medellin, and we gonna talk about Peru too. I
Oh yeah.
saved this
Oh, yeah.
episode for you. We gonna
Yeah.
talk about Peru,
Yeah.
but basically what I'm trying to say, y'all, the message I'm trying to say is that time waits for no man. I cannot stress enough
Yep.
that the thought of tomorrow, we have to stop. We have to stop that. The thought of tomorrow. Tomorrow is not promised. That's why, brother, you know, I'm glad that me and you was connected. You know, like I said, we always spread positivity on a daily basis, you know, check up on each other because tomorrow's not promised. So what I'm saying to y'all is that whatever you think the perfect moment it is to travel,
Yeah.
or the right amount of money you think you need to travel, or you the fear of traveling alone. You just have to go out there and see the world for yourself,
Yeah.
because the world, especially America, they paint the picture that every other place is horrible, dangerous, and that we should stay in the confines of our country and
Yeah.
not leave.
And I think two things on that, brother. First is completely agree with you. And I'm like, look, you don't have to be rich. One of my earlier travels, I went to Israel, first time, stayed in a hostel. There's different
Hmm.
precautions, things you have to take if you're bunking with like 6 other people or whatever. But I have never regretted an international experience. And it's brought in my perspective, brought in my connections to people globally. It's brought in how I understand and see myself. It's challenged what I value. It's helped me develop, I think, as a human to think about how I am and how I want to exist, how I want to raise a family, all these types of things. Like I think, look, save your Starbucks for later. Don't get the drink at the club. Buy a plane ticket. Like go
Yeah,
somewhere. I promise you, you will have 10 times more rewards, richer life, richer conversations, things you can pass down to your kids, all these things. I think the second thing is interesting. I think so. I was traveling a little bit more, a lot more before 2018, and then after, so like pre-pandemic, post-pandemic. Pre-pandemic, people were like, "Oh, like America, yada yada yada," right? And then after 2020, with all the election stuff and all the gun violence, now when I travel, it's interesting. Folks are like, America used to be the place to go to, and now when I travel, some folks are like, oh, like another shooting, something else. So as much as we want to talk about all these other countries having violence and stuff like that, we have real violence and issues in America that is being seen globally. And I think to your point, like some of the fear tactics of news channels or whatever can make you scared to go to places like Mexico, Colombia, all these types of things. But also too, like I know actually we talked about some of our backgrounds, like don't be I'd say it's gently, but honestly, like don't be a stupid traveler. Like don't flex your Rolex, don't bring a gold chain, don't rep
right.
everything. There's just some common sense things that you shouldn't do so that you're not a target for something, right? Especially if you're going to countries where your $1 is going like 20 times over. Just be mindful of those dynamics. And maybe it might not be the time to bring the Prada bag, the Gucci flip flops, all these types of things. But keep in mind that happens in America as well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, like, and we have to understand that it's a certain level of privilege here
Yep.
that we have, and traveling internationally has opened up my mind. So we know the privilege that some ethnic groups have here,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is American privilege, and the fact that when we do travel to these other countries, we need to humble ourselves, like Jordan is saying.
Yep. Yep.
Not wearing the chains. You got guys that travel to Cartagena, man. They throwing up money in the air. You
Yep.
talk to the locals. That's like the most disrespectful thing that you could ever do. You
Yep.
know what I mean? And we have to humble ourselves. We have American privilege. Our passport is powerful.
Yep.
Probably one of the most top out of the top 5 countries in the world. Our passport is powerful. So we need to treat it as such.
Yeah.
We need
Yeah.
to treat it as such. So man, let's talk about Peru, man. Let's talk about Peru.
Yeah.
So you just was recently there,
Yeah.
and I was there this past July, man. How did you enjoy it? I know it was a short
Oh,
trip, but how did you enjoy it, brother?
it was a short trip, but it was a powerful trip. I think, being based out of San Diego, we have this great airport in Tijuana. You can fly out of Tijuana. It's a little bit cheaper. Go down to Latin America for a weekend. It's a great flight. I also gotta say, if y'all are on this podcast, that means you already know about the great knowledge dropping that Ashton's doing all the time. Make sure y'all stay locked in with him. I got to hit him up before, just like, hey, bro, I'm going to Peru. He hit me with the list of stuff. I have had the best cinnamon roll. Like, there's a lot I can say about Peru, but man, that breakfast spot, y'all. It is the best cinnamon roll of my entire life. Like, part of me wants to go back just for that cinnamon roll. Like, I don't like. I could talk about all the things, the llamas, the all alpacas, all the things, but that cinnamon roll changed my entire life, man. It changed my life.
Yeah, bro. Hey, I told you. I told you.
Yeah, man. It was something else. I was up, but I love the city. The city was beautiful. So I was right there. I can't remember the name of the place. It was a beach city. Miraflores. Was it Miraflores? No.
Yeah,
Yeah. Miraflores.
Miraflores. Well,
Yeah.
the beach side is Miraflores says San Miguel. San
Yep,
Miguel.
yep, yep, yep. So
Hmm.
I was right there at the beach. Had a really great spot that I was staying at. It was just a beautiful place, man. Had good nightlife. I found the salsa bachata. Like it was just beautiful people, good things, and like the way I traveled. To your point, like with the the cultural humility side of me is like, I really want to see the culture. Like, I'm not going, like, I'm kind of a foodie, not really. I really want to go see the
Mm-hmm.
culture. Like, how are folks living? What's part of the culture? Don't send me to the tourist trap. Like, I'll go to the, the big monuments or whatever things you got to see. But I really want to understand the
Yep.
culture. How are people living? And I think what's also interesting in the way I travel as well is I'm always interested in like, how does Black history, slavery intersect with all these different countries and try to find, in Colombia, there's a Black city, all these, but Peru was great. I'll go there some other time. Peru was great. How about yourself, man? How was it for you?
Man, Lima, I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. I was there for 10 days, right? Or 10 and a half days. And there is so much to do in Lima that I still, till this day, have not touched.
Yeah, yeah,
It is so much to do just in Lima, y'all. Just in Lima.
yeah,
Just in
yeah,
Lima alone. Lima is huge. It
yep,
never rains there. It never rains there, by the way, just based
yep,
on the geographically where the city sits in the
yep,
world. It never rains there. Um what I did like about it. So I'm gonna share this. So the people that do go, I want y'all to check out. Go downtown. You can go downtown, and they're gonna have people out there that's selling tours. Right? They're selling tours. So the bus, it's a bus that will take you around for literally like literally I was able to get it for like 15 soles. So the
yeah,
currency in Peru is soles. So that's roughly around under $7, right? Under $7, you can take a bus and tour. It's like a double decker bus, like London, right? Except for the top part of the bus, it doesn't have a roof on it. You can ride around the city. They take you to all these monuments. You literally go into every borough through Lima. Miraflores, San Miguel, Barranco. You go to all these amazing places. It's dope. I recommend, if don't get me wrong, in other countries ceviche is great, but in Peru,
mm-hmm,
man, that ceviche, oh my god, bro,
yep, yep,
it's on a different level. Peruvian food is on a different level, and actually, just so y'all know, the out of the top 5 restaurants in the world, two of them are in Lima. So that tells you how good the food is. Like, man,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
amazing. Some free places that y'all can check out. Check out Parque de Amor, which in English, love park. They have this amazing statue of a couple kissing each other. Man, it's during the weekend they have like music, and they have a stage set up at the park. Really, very family oriented.
yep,
They can also check out Parque de Kennedy Park. That's in downtown Miraflores. And geographically, right across the street, there's a museum that sits on a corner. It's free. You can go in there, and I'll have that footage soon, as well, to show y'all. But you can actually go in there. It's free. It's a free art exhibit. It's absolutely amazing. Um, if you're the type of traveler that likes malls, they
mm-hmm.
have so many great malls around the country. But personally, I want to spend some time in Barranco, man. What you thought about Barranco?
Oh, I
I like
love.
the art. I like the art district.
Listen, bro. That's where the cinnamon roll was. So that's
Mm-hmm.
where that's
Mm-hmm.
that's where I love Morocco. But I think to your point, it's to the point you were saying about Colombia. I have to go back to Peru and spend some more time there. But I loved it when I went to Morocco. I think I did about. Oh, that art district was beautiful. That art
Yeah.
district was beautiful. Being able just the views, the photos, the art. Like, see, when I was walking down there, I think they were practicing for a quinceañera or something, and just being able to see folks doing some dancing on the streets. The artwork was
Yeah.
just beautiful right under the bridge. They had like it was something else, man. It was really, really something else. I loved it. I loved it. And
They actually.
I
Oh,
add
go
too
ahead,
though,
bro.
in Peru, there's a spot. I can't know how to pronounce it, but it's called like I'll spell it Huacachina Oasis. That's where I went to sand dune surfing. First time I ever did that, man. That was amazing. It was like a 4-hour bus ride out to this oasis, but then you're just riding on sand dunes. It's some like Aladdin type of energy out there. But it was great. An experience that was it was incredible. It was incredible.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I don't want to slaughter the name either,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I don't
Exactly.
I don't want to slaughter it. So, like, I'll give y'all an example of what it looks like. If y'all seen the Mummy, like the Mummy 2,
Mm-hmm.
or the Scorpion King,
Mm-hmm.
is basically a desert oasis, and that's
Mm-hmm.
what I like about Peru. Peru has the Andes, which y'all will see that footage coming out pretty soon by me. I'm going to be putting out a video on Lake Umantai, amazing mountain. But they also have a desert area, a desert area there, and that's where he went. I didn't get a chance to go because
Yep.
I had so much fun in Lima. And I'm
Yep.
gonna be honest with you, my Machu Picchu trip was last minute because I had so much fun in Lima that I didn't want to leave Lima. But I was like,
Yeah.
man, I'm in Peru. Let me go see one of the seven wonders of the world. So I went to Cusco, and I gotta share this about Cusco, y'all. Being from the South, being from Louisiana, I was not built for that. 14,000 feet above sea level. Now,
Yeah.
keep in mind, Louisiana, y'all, geographically, if you don't know, is below sea level. I'm not used to that. Bro, I got off the plane. I couldn't breathe. My lips was purple. Um, when the sun went down, it was 31 degrees. I was like, I'm not built for this, for one. I'm not dressed accordingly. So
Yeah.
I had to buy some, you know what I'm saying, buy a cap for my head and buy what they call it, a poncho? What they call it?
The
With the
parka?
alpaca. Yeah, with the alpaca.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So I bought that, but in order to get, a lot of people don't know this. They think that, oh, well, I fly into Lima, Machu Picchu is right there. No, you have to go to Lima. Then from Lima, you have to fly to Cusco. Now you can fly directly to Cusco, no problem. It's just more expensive. I chose to go to Lima first, spend a few days, then fly from Lima. If you book early, you can get tickets. You can get tickets like between $29 to $45 to
Mm-hmm.
fly to Cusco. And from Cusco to Machu Picchu, you actually have to uh, you actually could either get a shuttle service, get a tour company to pick you up and bring you to the train station. You have to take the Peru rail to get to Calientes. That's the town right before Machu Picchu to experience it. But Machu Picchu was absolutely amazing. It was breathtaking.
Yeah.
Um, I definitely wanna plan a trip back. So speaking of Morocco, bro, I actually found a mansion. We're gonna get a few other people in with us, but I found a mansion in Morocco that we should check out the next time we there.
Let's do it. But
It's an Airbnb.
but you know what, bro? I think to your point, man, I think this is why I think your podcast and the knowledge you dropping is just so important because as a last minute traveler, and sometimes I don't plan stuff. Like I feel like, I grew up Christian faith pastor's kid. Sometimes I'd be moved by the spirit. I'd be like, I'm gonna meet somebody and see what happens. But the challenge with that, so I've had phenomenal experiences. Like I wouldn't change the way I travel for the world because I love sometimes having like semi-tight but loose plans. So I'll know I'll go do this, but then if I meet someone, I'm like, cool, let's go do whatever. I go dinner or
Right.
whatever. But that was a miss for me. I was in Peru for I think 5 days. And I think I started looking like 2 days before my trip about this whole Machu
Mm-hmm.
Picchu thing. Not that I didn't hear about it. I was just like, oh, it could go. But then hearing like there's only a certain number of tickets per day they sell. Like you got to go there at the right time. All these types of things, which is why I think your podcast, your experience, knowledge dropping is so important. Because I know I would have liked to go to Machu Picchu, but as I was like hearing more from folks, I was trying to get tickets. They were like sold out. I just was like, it was an opportunity that I missed because I didn't plan enough. So I think even for folks, if you do travel like me a little bit, you got to plan a little bit better because I messed that up. And now I wish I would have seen it because every person I've talked to, yourself included, said Machu Picchu really is just like you get there. It's just breathtaking.
It's breathtaking, brother. I'm gonna be honest with you. The videos that I'm about to drop, the Cusco video is gonna premiere today. I'll be wrapping up that video today. I'm gonna drop that on the YouTube channel, and then the following week, I'm gonna drop Machu Picchu. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's one of those locations in the world that you have to see for yourself. The videos,
Yep.
it'll do it justice, but not the justice as if you was in person. Like it's absolutely breathtaking, man. Like I don't know if it was done by aliens or how the hell these people were able to construct this type of, you know what I'm saying, this type of structure is it's absolutely amazing.
But you know what, man? I think that's why I know this isn't one of the seven wonders of the world. But a few months ago, early in the year, I went to Niagara Falls, and
Mm,
traveling, I think, sometimes gives you moments where it just reminds you of how small you are or how crazy like things are that humans can do. And I live now for those moments where you can just go and see things and just sit and just be in awe, of just like, dang, like this is Earth, like this is what's going on and all these types of things. And to see it, like you said, you can see some things, Google Photos, see it in a video, which is cool to see. But if you can go there and see it for yourself, it's a whole different vibe, man.
definitely, bro. Man,
Yeah.
let's talk about because I know what type of person you are. but I want to pick your brain for a little while, so other people can figure out how to maneuver.
Yeah.
How do you go about finding your trips, and maybe share some of the applications that you use, or maybe a combination of a few to to find some of the deals or the countries that you've been to.
Man, let me tell you, I am a deal looker. And honestly, I'm pretty simple. I just use Google Flights, put on trackers for it, try and find weekends, flying out of Tijuana. I am loyal. This name sounds a little bougie, but I'm loyal to Delta. So I know you fly Spirit, but I'm loyal to Delta because and they partner with like Aero Mexico, Latin America Airlines, and a few others. So it's easy to kind of make sure I get all the points because it's nice to travel a little nice every now and then. But I always look for deals. And then some of the ways I travel, because sometimes I'm trying to save money. If I'm just doing a weekend trip, I'll take a red eye Friday night, get in maybe 10 a.m., 11 a.m. to a different country, have all day
Yeah,
Saturday, and then leave Sunday by like 2 or 3 p.m. And I'm back in San Diego by 9 p.m. So it's not, my travel is not for the week. It's tough. But
yeah, definitely.
I use points religiously, which is one reason why, I stick to airlines. But I also understand, like, in my career, all these things. So I'm trying to sometimes not look for the cheapest deal, but look for the deal where I could use my points, build more points. So I'm loyal to Delta, I'm loyal to Marriott. I use the Chase Sapphire Reserve credit card or the Amex Platinum for travels, and those points. I love the Chase Sapphire Reserve. You get 3 times back on points. I'm not a promoter of them. I just love them. It works out. It works out
Yeah,
well.
definitely.
And that's honestly what I use, bro. But I'm big on points. I'm big on TSA pre-check because the way I travel, I can't, a delay might mean my whole trip is off. So I have to travel as succinct as I can. And so I use Google Flights religiously, watching stuff. I try and buy my trips 2 or 3 months out. I will fly another airline if it's like that cheaper to be in budget. I'll use TripAdvisor because also for me, location's so important. So trying to figure out where's the energy at, like where's
Yeah,
culture at, where's the nightlife at, all these types of things. And then it's always better if I know someone that's went like yourself, someone from the actual country that I'll ask and to be like, hey, what's up? I'll even get on Instagram to be like, where are the Latin dance spots at this country? And then I'll DM the place and be like, hey, what nights are popping? Like, when should I make sure I'm there? Yada yada. So I'm all about trying to do some research before using points, using Google Flights, and trying to find the best deal to get the best experience possible.
man. Look, man. I'm from South Louisiana, man. We got voodoo down here, so I use Spirit faithfully, man. I use Spirit faithfully. To be honest with you, where,
You
huh?
might you might be a Spirit after you take a flight with Spirit, so you have to like.
Yeah. Hey, bro. Shout out to Spirit, man. Look, man. Spirit needs to make me an ambassador, man. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Chad Osenko too, because he flies Spirit too.
Listen,
But
I
man,
I don't know about that, man. All I know is Spirit. Every time I walk past check-ins, they lines be extra long. But let me say one thing too, though, bro. I'm gonna go back to another trip. I think my most transformative trip, bro, was when I went for my 30th birthday. I went to Ghana, West Africa, and as a black person, a black American going to Ghana changed my life, man. Changed my
come
life.
on, bro.
No questions asked. You get off the plane, people are like, welcome home. People were like, what, like, hello, my brother. I'm looking around. I'm like, oh, there's my auntie, there's my uncle. Like, it's crazy how much you see yourselves. I remember I was at dinner one time with a group of friends that I met, and this young woman asked me, she was like, yo, where are you from? I was like, oh, I'm from Chicago, born in Chicago. She was like, no, like, where are your people from? And I just, at that moment, it showed me how much being Black American disconnects you from our home
Yeah.
country of Africa,
Hmm.
to where we don't even affiliate. I shouldn't say I didn't even affiliate myself necessarily with. I know we were from Africa, but she was like, "Where are you from?" I was like, "Oh, I'm from Chicago." She was like, "Nah, like, where are your people from?" And that question stayed with me since and reminded me that, like, we as Black Americans need to remember, and if we can, connect back to the Black American, more likely your West African roots, and understand the brilliance that we come from. I mean, I went to a church service, saw similar dynamics out here. Like, I saw so much of the Black American culture when I was in West Africa, to see how that transported, how that was persevered, how that culture is still alive and vibrant now and similar to where we come from. It literally blew my mind and just really showed me, like, yo, our people are dope. And I remember I was made good friends with the boy, with my homie, and his name is Nana. So I shout out my boy Nana. He's my boy. But I remember we were talking one time. He was like, look, Jordan, if you're Black American, like, you have to understand that your people endured, like, enslaved folks catching you in Africa, putting you in a slave castle, traversing on ships where people are malnourished, like no type of things from West Africa to Americas or where however you got there, enduring slavery in the United States. Like for us to exist is like a legit miracle, like that
Right.
means no one in our lineage like died so that we could be here. And it just connected me back. Like man, that trip, 10 toes down, man, West Africa blew my mind, man. It just made me see like, dang, like this is where we from, you know?
I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry when I go back. I'm gonna just keep it a buck. I'm gonna
Yeah,
cry, bro. I'm gonna
yeah,
cry. I know
yeah,
I'm gonna cry. Like
yeah, yeah,
this is a good spot for me to pub uh, African ancestry, man. So I'm actually African ancestry is actually a partner of the Melanated Travelers podcast. I'll have the link in the show notes for you to go ahead on and see. Yes, they have 2023 and me. Yes, they have ancestry.com, but I don't need nobody to tell me that I'm black. I already know I'm black.
yeah, yeah.
African ancestry, right? It tells you what tribes you come from in Africa.
Yep,
That way you can feel like you're a part of something, right? So
yep,
I'm gonna have all that information in the show notes. It was a perfect point to bring that up since you went that direction.
yeah.
I'll make sure that I have that in the show notes as well.
And I'll add as well. I did it. I've done that, and it's just powerful to see because you go to your matriarchal lineage or your patriarchal lineage.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I went through I can't remember which one I went through, and was able to connect back to that exact tribe and where it was from. And it's just like, man, I just think out of all the places we can go in the world, and this would be my plea to Black people. I don't care where you go all the places you need to go, but please, sometime in your life, go back home, go back to Africa, check it out, see what it's like connect back to that deeper. Like I left that place so empowered, so engaged, so reminded, like a deeper sense of self as a Black person.
Mm-hmm.
And like it really just reminded me that like we can go see all the places in the world, love them, see how Black history goes everywhere, but don't forget like where that roots at. And it changed me for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I do plan on and knowing you'll probably be on this trip with me. But
Oh, of course, of
I
course.
do plan to go to Kenya next year, man.
Okay.
I'm mapping that trip out right now. I
Let me
have a
know.
lot of I have a bunch of friends in Kenya that I'm dying to meet, dying to see. So
Yeah.
definitely gonna go to Nairobi. So looking forward to that trip next year. Yep.
Yeah, man. I love it. And I think honestly, I think to our point earlier, like strangers are really just friends we haven't talked to. And I think if you're
Hmm.
traveling, communicating with folks, like I think about both of our networks, like you just casually saying I got people in Kenya. Some folks are like, oh, that's amazing. It's honestly not that hard. Like if you just
Right.
talk to people or just get to know folks, the world can be a lot smaller if you just start off with a hello, how are you, and what's your story, and share yours. You could really make the
Yep.
world a lot smaller and practically have a place to lay your head anywhere in the world.
Yep. Definitely, man. Like we got to talk. Let's swing back because this is the first time that country's ever been brought up. So let's talk about Denmark for a second. So how was Denmark? Um, it seems like it's a very welcoming city. I love the aesthetics. Being that I have an architecture background, I love the way the city is set up. So man, let's dive into that because you was there for a short period of time,
Oh
correct?
yeah,
That was a 48-hour turnaround.
that was a 24-hour one. So
Oh, 24. Okay.
I was in work in Boston, and I was like, because I've done some of the major cities in Europe already. So I've done like the Frances, the Germanys, the Italy's, like some of the main ones I think for at least for me that I wanted to see. I was deciding between Denmark, Iceland. I can't remember one place. I just landed on Denmark. So flew in out of Boston, landed there. Great city, man. Had a great time. But what I didn't know is apparently, and I'm not a foodie, so I apologize, folks. The most Michelin star restaurants are in Denmark, so you can get some of
Hmm.
the best restaurants. Apparently, are in Denmark. But love the city. Vibe is beautiful. Completely, I'll say, get a bike if you can. That was needed. I got a bike in 3 hours. Was able to go around the city. You got the rich history of the Vikings. There's a Little Mermaid statue. There was just so much to do. They have this great park. It's called Tivoli Park, where you can go in. And apparently Disneyland was like themed after it in some ways. But you walk in, there's like these beautiful purple plants that are hanging down from it. Like, and even just like I said, that vibe I was saying, that hygiene, and sorry if I'm saying it wrong to my folks in Denmark, you could just feel it. Like folks were welcoming, folks were cool. And I'm always mindful, I think as Black travelers, I'm like, all right, like how racist is this place gonna be? They was
Right.
cool. They was cool. They was cool. So I enjoyed my time out there. Definitely recommend it. For me, I think you spend 3 or 4 days there. You can hit a lot. There's a lot of rich history, a lot of castles. You can see, a lot of the
Mhm.
history centered around there is around like the Vikings and all the things that the
Yeah.
Vikings were
Hmm.
doing. So you could take a train ride to, I think it's Frederickson is what the city's called, and there's like a whole space museum really talking about Vikings. You get like some of the Viking ships, all those types of things, and so I loved it. It kind of blew my expectations because I came in with none. I didn't really know what to expect. I was just like, let's just check this out. But great city. Grab a bike. Grab some food at one of the Michelin star restaurants, and then you have that high end spot where it's just all the colorful houses and it's like all the canals. Reminded me of like Amsterdam in many ways, but beautiful city, great food. Got to go back there, man. Got to go back.
Got you. Got you. Let's talk about because I know what type of person you are, man. So,
Yeah.
like, what's some of your methods that you use to immerse yourself in the culture and connect with the locals? Like, because I
Man.
know like Latin countries. Yeah, I already know you speak the language, but
Yeah, yeah,
what
yeah.
other ways? Which you already brought out one way, dance. What's some other ways for you to immerse yourself in the culture? Like, how do you go about connecting with people there? Like,
Yeah,
as
man.
a solo traveler, because I mean, we both travel solo all the time.
Yeah, yeah. The Latin dance is the main one for me, because that's just the easier spot where I could honestly speak the language. And then outside of that,
Hmm.
man, I just be asking people questions. So if I'm staying I usually stay at hotels. So I just be asking the front desk reception, where should I go to? Like where do I go? Or I'll just honestly, I'm just not scared to go talk to people. Like the beautiful thing about traveling sometimes, like I understand that I'm leaving. So if me asking a question about what do you recommend offends you, I'm sorry. Like, but I'm just gonna ask you a question and try and be nice about it. So I'll ask anybody and just start up a conversation. I'll be at a coffee shop. I'll try to go spaces but for me, I'll just go anywhere and talk to people, and they'll be like, "Hey, what do you recommend here?" I think places where people are paid to talk to you in some ways. So I'm thinking like waiters, waitresses, front desk folks, receptionists, where people are like trying to talk to you. I'm like, "Hey, like, what do you think about this?" That's one ways I try to immerse myself in the culture. I go to museums. I used to not like museums. Now I like museums a little bit more to understand the
Yeah.
culture. But then outside of that, man, I ask folks the real question. I'm like, yo, like, where do y'all go? Like, don't tell me the tourist spots. Don't tell me the spots where, and like, no, where do you go on the weekend? So anytime I can catch someone, I'm always asking them, like, okay, where do the locals actually go? Because I think in what is it, Colombia, in Medellin, you have that area where it's like all touristy, where you party, but then there's lots of
Yeah, El Poblado is the tourist area.
right,
Yep.
right, right. But then you go to La Setenta, it's like all locals. Bars are a different vibe. I'm like, that's what I want to see. So that's why I just be asking people, like, where do people really go? What about yourself, man? As a solo traveler, how do you plug in?
Man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I, I
Uh,
I've always been a person that I like to do my research. I like to do my research. So one of the ways that I look up a place is, like, as you say Google Flights, Google Google is absolutely amazing. Just type in the location. I like to get I like to get some key points on some tourist spots, but also I'll share something with y'all that some people may frown upon. And when I say this, you kind of already know what I'm about to say.
I know where you're going.
So, but use it in a way to connect with people. So basically, me, what I do is, so I have I guess you could say, like, the premium feature of Tinder, right? So what I do is I drop my location in any part of the world, and I like to connect with people, man. That's how I connect with people. So, like, by the by the time I get down there, I already got friends. You know what I mean? So, like, I
Yeah,
like to connect. So, like, that's a way for me to, like, kind of get a head start. That's how you could get a head start.
yeah,
Use Tinder responsibly, folks. Use it responsibly. That's my message. Use it responsibly. Now, if you put it in Cartagena, you put it anywhere in Brazil, Dominican Republic, good luck. You know, that's all I'm gonna say. Good luck. But if you use it, if you use it in a way where you're able to network with people, like, shout out to my friends in Colombia, man. I met a lot of good people in Colombia, honestly. I met a lot of great people in Colombia that have turned into some great friends. And when you talk about immersing yourself in the culture, me being a person that's constantly learning the Spanish language, that's how I'm able to improve my language. I talk to people every day. So for those that have never traveled internationally, WhatsApp is the app that you use to communicate with everybody in the world. That is the Facebook of the world, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
I'm able to communicate and connect with people on a regular basis. So, man, I use Tinder. I use
Yeah.
Tinder, man.
Well, I'll say this too. That you made me think of another thing too of like how I connect. I think when you think about like how culture is expressed, language is something, food is something, monuments are something, how you gather is something. So I think about as I travel, what are the ways that I can experience the food? I think about when I went to Peru. Every time I go to a restaurant, I'd be like, "Yo, what's a traditional Peruvian dish? What's the drink?"
Hmm.
There you got the pisco sours that are so good,
Yep.
right? So I'm always mindful of like how do I understand? How do I see what the food is like? Because that tells you about the type of vegetation. How do I see what the type of music's like? How do I see what you all do on the weekend? But I think to your point, the other thing I was going to say is to your point. What I just used recently, the first time I used it was in Denmark, Copenhagen. Was I used ChatGPT and I
Mm.
said, "Hey, I'm in Copenhagen for 36 hours. Build out my itinerary." And it gave me everything to do from the morning, the trains to take, where to go, and that at least gave me a starting point. And then when I got to my spot, I checked in with the receptionist. I was like, "Hey, here's what I'm thinking about doing. Agree, disagree?" And she was like, "Yeah, do that, don't do that, go in this order, yada yada." So chat GBT, in case you're ever going somewhere and just want to start, you can literally say, "I'm going to, you know, Africa for 4 days, whatever part you're going to in Africa, build out my itinerary," and it'll give you a whole itinerary of what you should do.
Bro, I'm glad you brought that up. This is a good time for me to pub. AI is the future. And let me dive deeper into it. Not only ChatGPT, but there are software out there that has expanded from the base of ChatGPT. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yep.
So y'all listen up. So WhatsApp. WhatsApp again is powerful. Actually, I like it. I got an iPhone. I like it better. Honestly, I like it better than iMessage. That's just my opinion.
Me too.
But in WhatsApp now, I don't know if you knew this, Jordan. In WhatsApp now, they actually have AI chatbots that you can talk to. They
Mm.
have this chick. They have this AI chick named Lorena. She specializes in travel. So
Oh,
if you go to WhatsApp and you click on create a message, they're gonna have things that pop up like create a group, create a message, and then they got a spot that says AI chat. When you click on that, you're gonna see multiple avatars that specialize in different categories. Some specialize in business and investing. They have a chat bot like Lorena. She specializes in travel. If you click on Lorena and you talk to Lorena like a regular human and ask her like, "Hey, give me recommendations on this," and she'll spit it out to you. They also has another another service called Geek Guide, and you don't have to go into WhatsApp. You can actually follow them on Instagram, and when you send them you ask them a question, it's going to spit out the itinerary as well. They also have AI out there called roamaround.io. That's another chatbot that will give you a very detailed itinerary. So I'm glad you brought that up, brother. So that's just some different ways, some different travel hacks, guys, that I wanted to share that
yeah.
you should definitely check out. So like I said, with AI and the way the internet, right? We in the information age now. It's really no reason why you shouldn't know anything about the country prior to going because you have all these tools at your fingertips. Leading me to my next point is let's talk about top
Oh
five.
wait,
You've been to 25 and it may be tough.
can I
It
say?
may
Can
be tough.
can I jump in one thing real quick before this next question?
Oh no, you good, bro. You
Just
good.
real quick word of advice I think I got from you, which I just think about as I think as people think about going different places, I think one of the things that sometimes I overlook or assume that like Lyft or Uber is the way to go. Having your transportation from the airport to whatever, you taught me about in Colombia, in driver. When I landed in Amsterdam, when I landed in Copenhagen, I was like, oh shoot, they don't have like Uber and Lyft, like it's all taxis, and being able to prepare for it. Like sometimes it's a sticker price, or sometimes right when you get out the airport, everybody and their mama got a taxi, and some of
Yeah.
us it's like, wait, there might be a hack where you can get almost 50% off if you just prearrange or something like that. So just a shout out to like
Yep.
anytime you travel, know if they use most countries use Uber or have Uber, something a lot don't. So just know if there's like the in driver, if you need cash,
Mhm.
all those type of things as well. Because I've caught myself spending unnecessary money because I didn't prearrange that or just think through how do I go from the airport to the destination.
Yeah, soon as I get out the airport in Colombia, they're like, "Oh, my man, taxi, Tango Uber,
Yep.
yo
Yep.
Tango
Yep.
Uber."
Yep.
Oh, and they get mad and upset, but man, I use Uber faithfully. You talking about, especially like in Cartagena, even in Cali, Uber is absolutely awesome. I think the most I've spent in Colombia, just specifically Colombia, the most I've ever spent on the Uber, and that's to take me from Cali to Ponce, Colombia, which is almost 50 minutes away. I only spent $7 Uber.
Yeah. Yeah. See,
7 USD, by the way.
I love that, man. I like my last trip when I was in when I was in Denmark, man, I had been to taxi in so long, I forgot. Taxis, you just ever look at someone just stealing money from you? I mean, it's not stealing
Yeah,
money, but you just look at it, just looking at the ticket, you're just like, hey man,
money.
every
Yeah,
flight is optional. Like I need you to keep going. It was like a
yeah,
drive ran me like $70. I just was like, hold on now, hold on, wait, where's it?
yeah.
I was like, all right, they unionized, so it's okay. But what was that last question, bro? What was that last question?
Nah, man, just like any countries that you just want to shout out. I know you've been to 25, man, but like maybe the top 5 or 6 countries that you want to shout out. Maybe share some, some key some key spots, some key places and things that they should do in those countries. Like I know for one, Colombia is always gonna be your love, man.
Yes,
Viva Colombia, Viva Colombia. But
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
besides Colombia, like man, like some other spots, and then it can be Central Europe, where wherever you felt like people should definitely go there, like definitely.
Yeah, I'll toss out a few. I think I got to start off with the motherland, so I got to plug West Africa, especially for the melanated folks out here.
Shout
And
out to Ethiopia.
yes,
We know
sir.
the real names. Shout
Yes,
out to the
sir.
true Ethiopia.
Yes, sir. And non-melanated folks. You know, like Africa is a huge part of global history, and I think when I went to West Africa, being able to see slave castles, how folks were treated, all these types of things, it's important for us to all hold those narratives and histories to understand like how we're interconnected, and the atrocities that existed, and in some ways still do exist in different ways. So I think Ghana, West Africa, I love. I loved Lisbon, Portugal, more than I expected. I went to
Wow.
Lisbon, had a great time. There's a brother there. If you go, I got to find his name. I feel like I should have been ready to shout him out. He has a Black History walking tour. That was cool. They have a great Afrobeat scene, live music. The food was phenomenal right there on the water. They have this castle that you can go to, like Lisbon, Portugal. I loved it more than I expected. I was doing some work in London and came down to Lisbon and had an absolute favorite time there. I'll toss out two more. I enjoyed Japan a lot as well. I did that for 36 hours. I enjoyed Japan. But I think sometimes for me, I just love getting off a plane and not having a clue if I'm going into like, I don't like, is this salt? Is this sugar? Is this the right restroom? Like I went
Right.
there, but the people were just so nice. I looked so lost. I probably looked like a helpless dog. People were just like, oh, like go this way, go that way. Great culture. Just I think we go to a lot of Latin American countries, but to go to like Tokyo was just an entirely different vibe, right? When you get to
Yeah.
see some of the shrines, when you get to see the history, when you get to see um, like man, I'm telling you, I had a great time there. There's Shinjuku over there for the nightlife. You got some of the greatest ramen, some of the best food there that you'll ever have. The people are very caring, collective. Like it was like wow, just the food. If you love your Pokemon, all those things, that's going live.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Growing up as a kid. Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then in a lot of movies they have there because it's the world's busiest cross street where it's like the most
Yeah.
people walk by. So just dope to see there. And I think the last two spots, hey, this is tough. The last two spots I'll shout out are I actually went to, I know they're going to learn now, but I went to Israel and that was insightful, man. That was insightful. I think as a Christian, going back and seeing that was just seeing stuff that I read in the Bible or stuff was interested. And just like Tel Aviv was just very modernized, like a whole like New York City Junior type of place. And then the last I'll say is I went to Brazil for Carnival. Man, oh man,
Woo.
oh man, bro, that was a time. I went with some good boys. I was back in 2015, 2016. Just loved it. Just the people were beautiful. And, again with my passion just for Black history, most enslaved folks actually went to Brazil. So seeing the infusion of just blackness and Latin America was super dope. The dancing, the nightlife, like the beach parties, like it was. If you got something to experience in your life outside of going back to Africa, like go check out a carnival experience in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. It is unlike anything else, man. Unlike anything else. And the food is great. The people are great. The drinks had a little too many of them called a Caprina. I'm saying it wrong, but
Yeah.
it
Nah,
was a,
you good, bro. You good.
yeah, man.
I
It was a good time.
I wanna let people know this another pub. Like the number one carnival destination is Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Second, shout out to Lex, shout out to his home country, Trinidad and Tobago. Third, the third one will actually surprise you.
Okay.
The third biggest carnival in the world is Barranquilla, Colombia.
Oh, really?
Barranquilla.
Interesting.
And number four, shout out to my home state, New Orleans, Louisiana. You heard me? Yeah, yeah, yeah. We on the map. We on the map. So I just wanted to share that with y'all, man. And I want to end it, because I know you're an inspirational speaker, man. And
Yeah.
I just want to end this episode with, for the people that, the young men, the young women in the diaspora, all the people that outside of the diaspora that truly enjoy the message that we're giving. Like I'm gonna share this statistic with you.
Yeah.
So let's start off with the statistic, and then the next question I'll come back to that. But when I tell you these statistics, only 49% of African Americans and minorities in this country, in the United States of America, travel domestically, right? And only 17%, okay, of African Americans and minorities travel internationally. And I just recently did more research.
Mm.
It's actually worse this year. This year is only 7.6% of African Americans travel internationally. When I bring these statistics up, what do you think about these statistics? How do you feel, and what do you think we can do to change that?
Yeah. I mean, I think this podcast is a great start. Or one of the things we have to
Mm-hmm.
let folks know that it's accessible. You don't have to travel the way either one of us travel. Figure out what works for you and your budget. Have a budget, and do a safe one first. And then by safe, I mean short. So like depending on where you live in the states, like I live in San Diego, I can go down to Mexico City. It's a 3-hour flight. Like I can literally go for a weekend down to Mexico City, and it's not that expensive. And I just think just get
I'm
your
so jealous. I'm so
yeah.
envious.
Hey, but you got what? The DR, you got all the Caribbean, the island stuff right there. Yeah, right there. Yeah, you got all that. I gotta fly all the way to the East Coast down there. So I got Mexico City, all those things. But honestly, man, I think our our people are everywhere too. And I think it's
Oh, say that, bro. Say that again, bro.
our people are everywhere. Like we got to see each other, find each other, see our stories, and just know it's truly transformational, y'all. So save up. Don't get the save on the drink. Don't get the J's. Hold off on the fresh outfit. Go get the experience, y'all. And I promise you, like it will pay you back more than the watch, the outfit, the one night out doing whatever. Like go get the experience. It will truly be transformational. I would say like hit myself up, hit Ash up. Like we want to see us. We want to see us travel. It elevates our conversation. It elevates our
Mm-hmm.
understanding of the world. It helps us really see. I'm telling y'all, traveling is one of the greatest books you can read. It is, and it's not even read; it's experience. I'll tell you this. One of my favorite quotes I remember when I first was an undergrad. There was I was at a Hilton for an internship that I had, and I remember there was a screensaver on the computer, and it said, "Make experiences you don't need photos for." And I think oftentimes when you travel, these are some experiences, like you said, I can show you photos about Machu Picchu, but it's hard for me to even tell you about the greatness of it. I
Yeah.
think about the places I've been able to see. Some of these things literally leave you breathless. There's experiences, there's stories, there's things that are just possible that you don't even know is possible until you go and try it and see it, experience it, and do it. So collect the experiences, especially, I'm gonna especially call out any folks 35 and younger. Like part of the reason why I do what I do or feel comfortable doing it is because I'm young, able-bodied. Like I can go do a 48-hour trip and not feel like my back's gonna break. And I feel like I understand there's gonna come a day when I'm over 40 and I might need to fly first class, have a massage, and then stay there for like a whole week because my body can't move like it used to. So while we have the means to do so, Let's honor the history that we come from, understand our history, and make even better history for ours and the generations to come. Your flight's waiting. Let's take off.
Bro. It's nothing else to say. I can't even add to that.
Yeah, you can. Come on,
bro.
But no, I do want to hear from you though, man. Like, what do you think? Because those are some really stark statistics, and I think about the privilege that you and I have between the countries we've been to, but also like, what was your spark, or what do you think in that 7.5%? What do you think's unearthed?
I think the spark. I think the spark for me. Let's talk about the spark. I think my why for traveling, has always been for one my mental. Two, we grow up seeing these things in books throughout our entire education, right? Our entire secondary, post and secondary education. I want to see it in person.
Yeah.
I want to see it in person. You brought up another point that I want to add, and then I'll get back to my why. Is that we, the diaspora, are all over the world, and I want to challenge people. I know you're fluent. I want to challenge people. I met a guy in Cali. He lives in Florida, but he's been living in Cali for about 3 months now. And he actually said something to me yesterday that pushed me, right? Because I asked him, how did he become so fluent in Spanish without having to translate in his head? Because I'm to the point now where I speak a lot better when it comes to the Spanish language, but I still sometimes struggle with piecing stuff together. And he brought up an interesting point that I want everybody to listen to right now. When we came into this country, yes, we're African American, right? Black is a term that was created. We're not even gonna get into that, right?
Yeah.
Negro.
Yeah.
We're not even gonna get into that. But at the end of the day, we are the diaspora. Being from the diaspora, I'm gonna share this intellect with you because I know you're gonna agree. When you go to Africa, these people speak 4 to 5 different languages, right?
Yeah.
Like, just because we're in America, you have so many people, and I don't think it's a matter of ignorance, bro. I just think it's that a lot of people don't want to challenge their mind to overcome barriers. Just because, okay, yeah, we live in America, so English was taught, right? English was taught, but we have to learn how to adapt. We have to learn how to. That's what I meant about immersing ourselves in the culture, because it's back then it was survivable.
Yeah.
Back then it was survivable. I'll give you a prime example. Everything that's going on in Haiti right now, right? Everything that's going on in Haiti.
Yeah.
Haiti is a part of the the French history, right? So they know French. But a lot of these people that are migrating to the Dominican Republic, they had no choice but to adapt and survive and learn the language. So all I'm asking people to be is adaptable. That's pretty much my message.
Yeah.
Is to be adaptable. But for me, man, traveling has been an experience, because I honestly don't want to scare people when I say this, but my point is that tomorrow is not promised. We don't know when our last moment is, when our last breath is, right? So I wanna try to see as much of this earth that God has created, man, in person, man. Experience the culture, the happiness of being in another part of the world, looking up at the sky and being like, man, like I'm here. Like I'm here. Like amazing destinations, the cost of living. And talk about cost of living. I plan, God willing, I plan to retire and move to Colombia, man, because I feel like Colombia for me has been a place of the country is so welcoming. To me, it has a sense of mystery about it. The people are welcoming, and you see a lot of people in the diaspora as well. And for me, it's the fact that I've always traveled the uncharted path. Like if people going over here, I always wanted to go the opposite direction. I am the first person in my immediate family to ever leave the country.
Let's go.
I'm the first person in my immediate family to ever leave the country. So that means a lot to me, right? That means a lot to me. And having a young son, my amazing son, as he grows up, I want him to experience life. I want him to get a different perspective, because whenever you do travel, you gain so much experience, so much knowledge, and you go about your life a little different. The stuff that I thought I needed, I don't need it, bro. I don't need the fancy. And I'm not saying nothing's wrong with being affluent, but I don't need all that, man. I don't need all that. And the way I travel, I'm not a hotel person, by the way, y'all. I'm an Airbnb type of guy. I like to cook.
No,
So yeah, I'm an Airbnb type of guy. But everybody travels differently. So it's so many different ways for you to travel. It's not expensive as you think.
Yep.
Um, when you go to Google Flights, instead of booking a round trip, which you pay more up front, possibly you may want to do one ways. It's a lot cheaper. Now, some countries will force you to buy a return ticket before you can enter that country. You can
Right.
find that information out easily.
Right.
You can find that information out easily. But when I think about these numbers, it all boils back to um, overcoming the fear that we have, the the PTSD that we have historically,
Hmm.
as a race, and overcoming that
Yep.
by venturing off, man. And it all boils down to financial literacy as well,
Yeah.
which is it's a few things that I'm working on that's going to be attached with this brand that I want to, aid people into. Yes, I will never be a person to knock a 9 to 5. 9 to 5 is something that everybody should be doing, and the people that have successfully been on their own in business, kudos to you. But I think just the knowledge that we need financially,
Yeah.
right? To have a better understanding of uh, credit, have a better understanding of,
Absolutely.
different ways to generate income online now.
Yep.
So that's definitely coming and working on a few things on that front.
Yeah. We need.
And that's the reason why I travel, man. Coming from a small town in Gramercy, Louisiana, man, surrounded by sugar cane, surrounded by plantations. I take it as a sense of pride
Yeah.
that when I travel to these other countries, I'm putting little old Gramercy on the map. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
And I
That's why I do it. That's why I like to inspire.
love this, man. I'm thinking of a few things that really resonated with me. I think the first is I was thinking about my own experience. I never heard or grew up around folks that were traveling like that internationally. It was almost
Mhm.
like, so I just assumed it just wasn't, I didn't know. It wasn't, school exposed it to me. And then I had a crazy enough folks of color friends that were like, let's go do it. And I was like, okay, if it was on my own, I probably wouldn't have done it. But that was like, I feel like you just need one trip to see what you can see and then just kind of get out there. And I know there's a lot of financial management. I'm not trying to act like there are costs to it. You got to decide how you want to live, but there are ways around it. Hostels, finding cheap flights, all these types of things. But I think you said a few things a couple times, man. And I know you said, you said not trying to be morbid, but the honesty truth is like we always think we have tomorrow, and we really don't. Like part of the
Yeah.
reason I booked my Africa trip was because the year before my father passed, and he had always
Mhm.
wanted to go to Africa. So part of me going was to honor and carry out one of his dreams. And I just think there might be some places or some dreams that folks might be holding, and don't let that die with you because that could be passed on to generations to go and establish a new normal that we from Louisiana, we from Chicago, we from San Diego, but we have had experiences globally and we've seen the world and we've challenged our perspectives or thought about different ways we could leave. And I think
Mhm.
there's another thing that you said as well that I think is so important. And you said it briefly when you were in your last comments, and it was the mental health aspect of it. You know,
Mhm.
traveling, slows you down. I think in America, where a lot of us might be grinding, whether you got your own business, doing a 9 to 5, whatever, the pace of work sometimes is just like, yo, we busy beyond busy, right? And sometimes going international almost takes you to another time, a way of existing, right? I think we've been talking about that a lot. That just shows you that, like, even if it's fake or even if it's just like a quick break away from like the American hustle and grind, you're able to relax, you're able to see, you're able to experience. And this is why vacations and things are so important. Like research talks about this, why we give people time off because it restores the soul. And I
Yep.
think if you can travel, it is a restoration process for yourself, but it can also be a learning process, a growing process. And I think if you go international, it really helps you just really develop, take care of your mental health and realize too, I think to another point that you were saying, we care about and hold a lot of stuff that we don't sometimes need to. And sometimes when we go
Yeah.
international, we're reminded we
Mhm.
really need just family, friends, food, and a place to lay our head, and God can take care of the rest.
Like I want to share this, and I'm not saying this as a sob story, but a lot of people think that when you go to these other countries, it's just dirt roads
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
just poverty everywhere. And it's not like that. I've seen better infrastructure in some of these countries that I've named.
Absolutely.
Cause in Louisiana, all the roads are asphalt. Man, there's potholes everywhere, man.
Yep.
It's ridiculous. But I'm getting to my point is back to the American privilege just for a second. And I want to get into the friend, right? But I've never seen people that, for the most part, my friends that come from different burials, tougher burials in their dedicated country. But just like today, man, we talking. She was in the shower and the water cut off, right? And like, bro, they don't know when the water's gonna come back on. They don't know the lights cut off, and they don't know when it's gonna come back on. I want people, and I'm not saying that as a sob story, because those people are resilient,
Yep.
and we need to realize that we're privileged here. Like, and that's why I brought that up. So, like, when I was in El Salvador, that was my first trip. At first, I was on my American high horse, right? I get in the bathroom, no hot water, and I'm upset. And then as I went on my trip, I realized that, you know what? Let me stop acting like that. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you come from a level of privilege, and that's why I wanted to bring that up, guys. It's not a sad story, but we are very privileged here, and the fact that once you go to some of these other countries and you see, the opposite of what we're used to, you realize that, you know, yeah, we may have some issues here, but it's not as bad as it seems. It's
But
not as bad as it seems.
but I want to double click on something you said earlier in that, which is like, but a lot of these communities, like you said, are resilient, and I would even add joyful, right?
Yeah.
Like
Oh, bring that up. Yeah,
living
I'm glad.
life,
Yeah.
having
Yeah. I was
smiles.
going there, bro. I was going. Appreciate it.
It's like it's not about like these poor communities need our help. America, but nah, it's like
No.
this is how we're living, but I'm still happy. And it's
Yeah.
interesting because if you compare that to some of the things that we have in America, and again, it's not like America has all this stuff together and all these countries are poor. I tried to kind of comparison, but there's a reality of just like some of us are fighting for so much stuff and still not happy. And in some of these other countries, sometimes there's recenters you around just like that's what I was saying. It's just like, yo, like people can be really happy with a lot less. And some of the ways that
Yeah.
I think we've been conditioned in America to see what we should fight for, climbing corporate ladders, attaining all this type of wealth, all these types of things. And sometimes you might say, yo, like to that experience, like it's not ideal. No one wants to have the shower
Yeah.
water cut off on them. But if I could still be happy in that, like, come on, y'all. You know?
Yeah. Honestly, you brought up a good point. Honestly sometimes envious of the family construct in
Mm,
these other countries.
mm,
Honestly, I'm envious because sometimes I wish I had that in my own family, bro.
talk
They
about
have nothing. They have nothing, but yet they can sit outside. If you're in Colombia, they drink aguardiente or
it.
Colombia beer,
Yeah,
but they're outside. They're sitting outside with a boom box, right? Dancing with their family, enjoying their family. They don't have much, but they're happy and they thank God for what they do have.
yeah,
And bro, I could count on one hand. Honestly, since I met you, I haven't bought not one new outfit. And
mm,
that's not a knack. I know some people in the clothes, but man, I was like, I looked at my closet and I'm just like, I haven't worn this in 3 years. Why the hell did I got rid of so much stuff? You know what I mean? And man,
yeah,
I'm just envious of the family construct. And I know you see that, traveling to all these different countries. So sometimes I'm envious of that, man. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you.
yeah,
Just the way they're so joined together, and they're not gonna, you know uh we're all about here is all about capitalism, right?
yep,
And over there is more about, let's work together. Like, if
yep,
my sister, I'm not gonna let my sister struggle, I'm not gonna let my brother struggle,
yep.
right? I love that construct.
But that's why I love Africa. You know, it talks about the concept of like Ubuntu and all these things. Like I am because you are. Like we're like all these type of constructs. Whereas in America, it's this very individualistic approach towards everything,
Hmm.
right? And it's just
Hmm.
like, yo, you'll toss. And no knock if you gotta do this. I know situations are different. You know, you'll toss your parents in a nursing home or send them off somewhere else. Whereas in the family construct, you'll see multi generations of families living together in the same house or different things like that. And just that, I think like international travel in some ways shows you how a lot more connected we are than apart, and it challenges some of the constructs of American rugged individualism, capitalism, all these types of things to really just say it. Even in some most like disparate challenging countries, there's still love, there's still hope, and all these things. What's our excuse in America? You know, it's like
Yeah.
greed, entitlement, and like you said, it's beautiful things, and you really think about it. It's this is the beauty of it, man. You got the folks you love, you got a porch or don't got a porch, you got some music, you got some food, you living. you having a good
Yeah.
time, man. You having a good time.
Facts, man.
So
Like I said, that's my plan. My plan is, God willing, man, is to retire in Colombia. I already did the calculation. You know, for me, the way I travel, all I need is about 10 to 12,000 a year, and I'll be fine, bro.
yeah,
That's all I need.
yeah, yeah.
I'll be fine. I'll be perfectly fine in Colombia.
I
So
know. I know you'll be fine in Colombia. My man, when I first met Ash, I feel like we went down like a serious theological. Like I'm gonna bring us back real quick for a second because we was going down the theory. My man, when I met Ashley, I'm telling y'all, this man, he said in front end of this, he loved Cartagena. He came over to Medellin. I feel like he was just mad dogging Medellin the whole time. Like, this ain't Cartagena, this ain't Cartagena. He was loving Cartagena. So he convinced me though. I changed the whole flight. I missed the whole flight because of it. And it was a great time. It was a great time out there. But yeah, man, I think when I think about this, the conversation that we've been able to have today is just about, encouraging folks to go have those
yeah,
conversations, find the tips and tricks, but like take that experience, go with like cultural humility. We ain't trying to go somewhere and be colonizers or anything like that as
yeah,
well, but learn with, learn from, and really see folks as like, and be willing to be challenged on what you see is right and how life could be lived, because other countries can show you that there aren't only alternative ways to live. There are some ways that are better to live that we might not have ever thought about because of being born in America.
yeah. You say the bar, man. But man, Jordan, I really can't thank you enough, man, for coming on the show, man. We'll definitely have more conversations. We're gonna have to set up a few lives on IG, man, just to have more dialogue, more conversation.
Yes,
Man,
sir.
I really do appreciate you, man. You family.
Yeah,
You
likewise.
already know you
Yes.
family, man. I really do appreciate it, and for coming on. And so how can people, before I end the episode, I want to make sure that people can connect with you. So
Yeah.
I'll give you this opportunity to put out all of your information, you're speaking, the new network
Yeah.
that you're presenting as far as in the travel space, man. Just go ahead on and blast all your information so people can follow you and support you.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I want to say thank you, brother. I really appreciate it. And I hope y'all can see as well. Like, Ashley, I locked in about a year and a month ago, and we have
Yeah.
been since. I probably talk to this brother at least once or twice a month. If we miss a month, it's no love lost. Like, we 10 toes down. And
Mhm.
it's really just from one international trip. I found like family in Colombia. But for me, just Jordan J. Harrison on Instagram. That's just more of my personal public speaking stuff is jordanjharrison.com. My 48-hour travel tips, where I share a lot more of where I'm going, things I did in the 48 hours, tips and tricks, kind of like some of the conversation we're having today. That's just Jet Setting Brother, and that's only on TikTok. But the main thing I want to say is the main thing I want to push is the Melanated Traveler podcast. Get on it, listen to the episodes. If you haven't, leave a review. More important than anything, I say before you follow me on anything, make sure you leave a comment or review on the Melanated Traveler, because I think this is going to be the stuff that disrupts that 7% that we see. So we need to hear the voices, we need to hear the stories, and we need to know that we out here. So appreciate you for creating this space and making it accessible to everybody, brother.
Man, appreciate it, man. And y'all already know my motto. I'll see y'all at the top because the bottom is just too crowded. Peace.
Let's go.
Hey, I hope that you enjoyed the episode, because it definitely was dope to record it with that amazing guest. Tell a friend if you're really vibing with us. If you feeling the episode and you really enjoyed it, make sure that you write a review on all the podcast platforms. Make sure that you follow the Melanated Traveler on Instagram. You can also check out the video podcast on my page at Aston R. Williams. And if you want to follow your boy, Aston R. Williams, at all social handles. Again, this is the Melanated Travelers podcast, and I'll see y'all at the top because the bottom is just too crowded. Peace.